ഹലോ രാജേഷ്, കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ ശബ്ദം?
ഉണ്ട് ക്ലിയർ ആണ്. ഇത് വെക്കുമ്പോൾ മാത്രം ശബ്ദം കുറച്ച് കുറവാണ്. മറ്റേ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ വീഡിയോ റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴേ, റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് പ്ലേ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ
ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കാം.
അത് പ്ലേ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് ചെയ്യാനല്ലേ.
കുഴപ്പമുണ്ടോ?
ഇല്ല, ഇപ്പൊ കുഴപ്പമില്ല.
ഓക്കെ, അത് അതിന്റെ സ്പീക്കറിന്റെ വോളിയം വളരെ കുറവായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ സ്പീക്കർ വോളിയം വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് അത് ഇതിലേക്ക് റൗട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്.
ഓക്കെ.
അത് ശരിയാക്കി. കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം വേറെ ആരോ പറഞ്ഞു.
അതെ, കുറച്ച് വോളിയം കുറവായിരുന്നു.
എങ്ങനെയുണ്ട് അല്ലാതെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ എല്ലാം?
കൂടുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ ഐ തിങ്ക് തിങ്സ് ആർ ഓപ്പണിംഗ് അപ്പ്. ഐ തിങ്ക് ജൂൺ ഫസ്റ്റ് വീക്ക് മുതൽ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് ഓഫീസസ് ആർ ഓപ്പണിംഗ് അപ്പ്. അപ്പൊ എന്റെ വൈഫിന്റെ അടുത്ത് ഓഫീസ് വന്ന് പണിയെടുക്കാൻ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. I mean, there are still companies who are not allowing people to come in. പക്ഷെ എന്നാലും 10 ആൾക്കാർ വരെ ഐ തിങ്ക് ദേ ക്യാൻ മീറ്റ് ആണ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇൻസൈഡില് 10 people വരെ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും, 25 outside. So I think some small companies and some places where they can എന്താ പറയുക swap people, ഒരു ദിവസം വരിക മറ്റേ ദിവസം മറ്റൊരു വരിക, അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യണവർക്ക് I think they can open up.
Yeah.
So things are looking better. I mean, today in North Brunswick there was only 4 cases. Yesterday it was 0. No cases yesterday.
But the important thing is that when they open it up,
how does the whole thing work out? Right? Absolutely. I think then we'll probably see a lot of more cases coming in. As long as people, I mean, I just went outside. I had just gone to Lowe's and I had gone to Harbor Freight. People were maintaining distances. Everybody had a mask on. So I think at least if they keep it at that, I mean, wearing masks and wearing gloves, I think we'll be all right. But the only thing, I don't know if you saw that news, hydrochloroquine, there have been some deaths related to that now.
Oh.
Yeah, so so doctors are saying no to taking it. It's not, it's not everybody's, because I think the other day we saw the news that the president was saying, I'm taking it. And the next day, this news comes out that hydrochloroquine is, it's not, it's not a generic everybody medicine. It's only case specific. So there were a lot of deaths related to it. It just came out yesterday. So
yeah, they've been saying it for quite some while now, that it causes this heart arrhythmia. And
yeah, absolutely, arrhythmia. Yeah, it causes arrhythmia, which is irregular beating of your heart.
That's right. So one shouldn't be doing it, but hey.
Exactly.
But exactly.
Everybody's looking for a magic drug, I guess. That's what the whole thing is.
He just leads them. So he leads everyone so wrong. Yes.
True. I guess either he's misinformed or he's not listening to people.
He's not listening. He's the right one. Other day I was so surprised. We had the press secretary, talking of ineptness, shows the actual check that she wrote to the, to this charity organization.
Okay.
Yeah, actual check with the routing number. And how inept can you get? Really?
Yeah, somebody can just take a screenshot of that and start pulling money from that account.
That's the day one we are told, don't give that to anyone. This guy
true.
on national TV shows that.
True.
Anyway, sorry, Raj.
So Mahesh, how are you?
Good, Rajesh. How about you?
I'm good, thank you.
So Rajesh, Dr. Tomar told about 5 people who started Project Cell. I can think of you, Dr. Tomar, maybe Vijay. Who are the other 2?
In fact, it is 12. So 5 people initially formulated the idea, right? So
right.
He was there. Arvind was there. Madhu's husband. Arvind was there. And Karthik was there. So we were the initial people. Vijay came a little bit later. So when we officially launched, there were 5 people.
So that was in that Edison Hotel, right?
No, much before that. He was
Oh,
just,
much.
yeah, he was talking about the formulation of this idea, because we thought we will dedicate our studies on Bhagavad Gita. This was some lessons we learned, or some inspirations we got when we were doing classes in Chinmaya Mission. Like Mahesh was there, it means who is in this call. He was also there from that study group. So because I'll talk about that one day. It's a good journey.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it's 5. So let's get started. So let's hear the prayer.
Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Okay. Welcome back. And let's offer our salutations to everybody. And let's pray that the situation will be in control very soon. Glad that all of you are safe and secure and also spirited. So we have been seeing the second chapter of the Gita, and last week we reached a milestone of the 30th verse. So if you really look at the second chapter, the first 10 verses, which was the topic number 1, was mainly a restatement of the problem, because the first chapter of the Gita is a problem statement, and the second chapter, the first 10 verses, is again a restatement of the same problem. So that we saw. And after that, from verse 11, Krishna starts his teaching. So from 11 to 30 is the first portion of his teaching. And the first portion of his teaching was addressed to all of us. And the fundamental problem we address is how to remove the risk of getting into this vulnerability of being sorrow, meaning being excessive sorrow, because all of us are at risk because we are subjected to sorrow. And the first verses, like 11 to 30, was addressed from a spiritual standpoint of view. So if you really think about Krishna's argument from verse 11 to 30, he said that no situation in the world demands an extreme mental reaction, even if it is a death. So that was the point number 1. And for that, he introduced the 3 dimensions, of a human personality. The 3 dimensions are the physical body, or the physical dimension, which is subjected to death and birth, and which is subjected to changes while in living. So that is the first portion. And the second aspect he explained was the soul, or the subtle body, which transmigrates from life to life, or from birth to birth, means life to life, based upon the law of karma. And if you remember, we had an extensive discussion. 3 weeks we spent on the law of karma. And finally, Krishna also explained, in reality, your nature is Atma, which is not subjected to any change. So 3 things: the physical body will born and die. At the time of the physical death, the physical body will die and the soul will transmigrate. And the third one is the Atma. There is no change for that. And we saw that death is not our, means it's an end, not an end to our existence. And also we said that the changes to situation and the physical body, it is inevitable. So the point he was arguing from a spiritual perspective was, understand these facts and there is no point in worrying things over which you have no control, and also be assured that you are not coming to an end at the time of the death. So this is only one perspective. In fact, Krishna is using three perspectives in this chapter. So today we will try to see what are the other two perspectives of his argument, or the other two point of view of the argument. So the first was entirely the spiritual perspective, and the second one is something called entirely from a dharmic perspective. Means what exactly is the dharma or the ethics or the duties perspective. And the third angle or the third perspective he is going to talk is laukika, from a worldly perspective. What would be the perceptions of other people? What would be your own perception? What would be the perceptions of the other people? So these are the three different angles he is trying to address the problem. And the Atma or the spiritual perspective is from the perspective of the absolute reality, or the prad means the paramarthika satya, and from a dharmic argument is from a vyavaharika satya. How do you interact with the world outside? And loosely translating, we can say that the ethical means the laukika perspective is from a vyavaharik means paramarthika satya. Sorry, the pradibhasika satya, illusionary reality. But think about these three difference. One is a spiritual perspective, second one is a dharmic perspective, and the third one is a worldly perspective. So these three arguments are used to do what needs to be done at a given point of time. So this is the next few steps. So from verse 31 to 33, he is going to argue from a dharmic perspective. And from verse 33 to 36, he is going to argue from a laukika perspective. So if you really think from verse 11 to verse 36, he is using three different point of views in explaining the solution. But you can see that 11 to 30, majority of that verses are used from a spiritual angle, but definitely he wants to make sure that he is touching the dharmic angle as well as the laukika angle. See the sequencing, right? It is very important to understand the sequencing. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll jump into the verses. Okay, so we will see the verse 31. Anu is not in, so we'll play the recordings.
स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्धियुद्धात् श्रेयोऽन्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते.
It's a beautiful verse.
स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्धियुद्धात् श्रेयोऽन्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते.
It tells swadharmam apicha vechya. So apeksha means relative, or with reference to, or with reference to the point of view of dharma. And swadharma means your own dharma. So with reference to your own dharma or your own duty or dharma, we saw what exactly it is. We saw a larger meaning. In this context, what needs to be done by you at a given point of time? That is what is swadharma. So from a perspective of a swadharma also, you should not waver. You should not retreat from what you need to do. Because for a warrior, the greatest duty is to fight a battle. This is the simple meaning. So let's understand the detailed meaning of this. So swadharmam api cha avechya. So from the perspective of dharma, your own dharma, now we come pitum arhasi. You should not waver, because dharmarthi yukta shreyonyat. Nothing better than the battle for a righteous cause. is Kshatriyasya na vidyate. Know that exist for a warrior. So let's try to understand and try to relate with our daily life. So sentence 1 here is cha means and also from the standpoint of your own dharma. So cha api avechya. Avechya means it is the standpoint or perspective based on your own dharma. So dharma means your own dharma. You should not waver. So that is the first sentence. From your dharma standpoint, because remember, he concluded the argument of the spiritual standpoint and got into the dharma standpoint. So from the duty perspective, so from what needs to be done at a given point of time perspective, also you should not doubt your means from doing your duties, because there is nothing, right? There is nothing greater than Shreyaha, nothing greater than Ananya Anyahi for a Kshatriya than the righteous war. Dharmartha Yutha Shreyonyat Kshatriyasya na vidyate. So for a warrior, there is nothing nobler than a dharma. Meaning, there is no greater than dharma in fighting a righteous war. So this can be very superficial. But let's try to understand what is the Swadharma versus the Samanya Dharma. So if you remember one of the special sessions we did on Dharma, we highlighted in that session, the Dharma can be classified into two. One is called Samanya Dharma and the second one is Swadharma or Vishesha Dharma. Samanya Dharma means it is applicable to all the people at all time and at all the places. Any example? You need to eat your food. You need to take care of your child. You need to take care of your spouse, right? It is applicable to all the people at all time. So there are certain things you have to follow, irrespective of which stage of life you are. Spouse means, of course, it is when you are in that engagement, but it is applicable to all the people. Whether you are a doctor or an engineer or a daily wage employee, it doesn't matter. You have to eat to live, means feed. You have to eat you have to feed your children. You have to take care of your family, and you have to take care of your health. You have to take care of means you have to be socially good. You cannot hurt other people. You cannot hit other people. Follow the law. You have to pay the taxes. This is applicable to all the human beings. That is what is called Samanya Dharma. So then what is Swadharma? What do you expect from a doctor versus what do you expect from a like a software professional? Do you expect the doctor to treat you? Do you expect a warrior to take care of the laundry for you? So depending upon the role you play in the society, depending upon your mental temperament and depending upon the role you play in the society, there are certain special responsibilities given to every individual. So I need to see where I stand based upon my ashrama. For example, if I am a student, my predominant duty is to study. Of course, I need to take care of a few other things, Samanya Dharma. Of course, I need to eat myself. I need to make sure that I'm relating with other people. All that Samanya Dharmas are there, but on top of that Samanya Dharma, depending upon where I am and depending upon my profession or my engagement or my mental temperament, I need to do certain things at that point of time. For example, when I was a student, I don't need to earn, meaning of course, minimal earning, but my responsibility, predominant, Mukhya Dharma, is studying. Whereas when I'm a householder, my responsibility is to earn and feed the entire family, go and work, and as a professional, I need to make sure that I'm doing my profession, not somebody else's profession. That is Paradharma. For example, if I'm a doctor, my responsibility is to go and treat. Right now, the corona came in. All these healthcare professionals, I was talking to a nurse the other day. She was crying, and I was just talking about this verse. So it doesn't matter, like when a war comes in, it is the responsibility of a warrior to go to the front and defend the country. So what exactly, whether he has done his duty, it depends upon how he defended the country. So when we were fighting with Nazis, the governors and the pilots at that point of time, their duty was to bomb. Their duty was to fight that war. You cannot say that I'm an ahimsavadi, my dharma is otherwise. If that was the case, you should not have gone to that profession. So having selected a profession based on your mental temperament, you cannot run away from that situation when the situation demands more, or when the situation becomes tight. For example, if I was a healthcare professional right now, I cannot say that I don't want to a ward, because you have opted that profession based on your mental temperament and your skill, guna and karma. So guna and karma determines my engagement with the world outside, and having selected one guna and karma, I cannot go back. So this is what is called swadharma. So from Krishna is saying here that, O Arjuna, your swadharma, you are a kshatriya, meaning you are a warrior. He didn't say that by birth you are a kshatriya. He didn't say that. Please underline this, because swadharma is not by birth. Swadharma is based on your guna, mental temperament, and your profession. So if there is a doctor, his swadharma now is to treat the patient. And if I'm a program manager or a technology leader, my swadharma is to make sure that that particular role is performed. And means I already explained this point. This dharma associated with an individual, this swadharma associated with an individual, there are two categories again. One is called the mukhya dharma, the predominant dharma, and gauna dharma, the subsidiary dharma. When this mukhya dharma and gauna dharma aligns, it is okay. I gave this the stock example. The student of a class means the father happened to be the teacher. So there are two dharmas clashing at the same time. One is, as a teacher, inside the class, he has to follow a dharma, the dharma of a teacher. And also he has a dharma of a student. And imagine that student has a lower mark, or his performance is low. So means if the teacher dharma comes in, he has to treat all the students equally. But if the father for example, how do I don't need to take care, means when there are a demand for a resource at home, means first I have to take care of my family before I go and do the charity. So there I have to give priority to my own child. But within that class, I cannot. So when there is a mukhya dharma and gauna dharma collides or contradicts, you have to pick up the mukhya dharma. Rama's life was an example for that. So here Krishna tells Arjuna that if you think about from a swadharma perspective, then also this war is important for you, because at this point of time in the battlefield, your dharma with respect to, okay, they are my relatives, means your dharma as a warrior supersedes your gauna dharma. So you have to fight this battle. And every individual should be identifying what is his swadharma at a given point of time. And this is why we study the scriptures. So understand your swadharma, and following your swadharma is extremely important for anybody in their spiritual and personal growth. So Krishna changes the entire argument from the Atma, Jivatma, soul perspective to the dharmic perspective. You can see that. And you see how the logic of that argument. I talked about Nataraja Guru and Nitya Chaitanya Yati the other day, disciples of Srinarayana Guru. In his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, he highlights this topic a lot, because the definition of goodness with respect to this Aristotelian model or the Western model is much different from that of an India. So Narayan means Nataraja Guru quotes like, how do you say that a mango is better? Means you're comparing an apples and oranges. Let's say that in a modern world itself, it is a phrase. You cannot compare apples and orange. The greatness of an apple tree is determined by the quality of the apple it produces. Whereas the greatness of an orange tree is measured by the quality of orange it produces. Typically, we try to compare these apples and oranges. So the greatness of a warrior, or the dharma, or the commitment of a dharma of a warrior, the person who was leading a battle, for example, the people who were fighting against Taliban in Afghanistan, the people who fights about means these terrorists in Kashmir, what is how their dharma is determined? Their commitment in eliminating these negative forces. This is the most practical vision in the world, because you cannot say that at that point of time, I'm ahimsa wadi, I'm going to give up my arms when these terrorists comes and when these Taliban comes in. So the generals and the army people who fought the battle there for us, they were following your Swatharma. And if they retreat from that place, they are violating their Swatharma. Isn't it clear? This is very important, because no scripture in the world makes this point very clear. Ahimsa, or the non-violence, is not an inert, ineffectual slave mentality. The commitment of the dharma is very important. And this is what Mahatma Gandhi highlighted in his writing, pretty much. And let's wait for the 17th chapter. This topic is elaborately discussed. What exactly meant by this ahimsa? Ahimsa paramo dharma. We say that. And at the very same time, we say that the battle is good. The battle for a soldier, for a dharma yuddha is good. So he said dharmarthi yuddha, means it is not a battle for anything else. If that battle is for the defending the country, and if it is for a saving the people, humanity, not for any of my personal egocentric desires, that's a great battle. So from that perspective also, understand that this is important to follow your Swatharma. That's what it is. So as I said, like there are three different point of views. One is this Adhyatmika Drishti, or spiritual point of view, which is from verse 11 to 30. Dharmika Drishti, which is a dharmic or ethical point of view, verse 31 to 33. And Laukika Drishti, worldly point of view, which is from verse 34 to 36. And Swatharma, we talked about that. Shifting from the standpoint of Atma, Krishna is talking about Swatharma. And the duty or the dharma of a soldier in a battlefield is to protect dharma. And there is nothing wrong in doing that. And this, as I said, like this dharma is classified as two. One is Samanya Dharma and the one is Vishesha Dharma. Samanya Dharma is okay, irrespective of the varnas or ashramas, you can follow that. Whereas Vishesha Dharma is entirely depending upon your mental temperament and the place. So Mahabharata tells, like, he who saves, who is a Kshatriya, because it is not somebody by birth. So Mahabharata defines Kshatriya. There is a verse. It tells, Chatat yo vai trayati iti tasmat Kshatriya smartaha. The one who protects a person from sufferings or from problems or from being attacked, he is the Kshatriya. So the warriors, the modern police force, the modern army people, the modern defense system is considered as Kshatriya. This is very important. I quoted Mahabharata because this is a lot of people misinterpret these terminologies. So Chatat trayate iti Kshatriya, one who protects from sufferings or attacks or anything like that. And there is an interesting topic in Mahabharata Shanti Parva. Yudhishthira goes and sees Bhishma and asks for some advice. And then Bhishma tells, right, you are a Kshatriya, you are a king, you are a ruler, you need to be strong. The words he used is, Danda eva hi Rajendra, Chatra dharmo na mundade. Danda eva hi Rajendra. You need to rule the country with power. Like wherever you need to be stern and strong, you have to be. Because a country head, when somebody comes and attacks, you cannot run away. So, and actually there are so many examples in the Mahabharata which tells this story. There was a king called Sanjaya, not the Sanjaya we are hearing in Mahabharata, but before that there was a king, and he was defeated by another king. So he said, okay, I'm not good, I'm going to run away, this is not a nice place to be in war. So at that point of time, his mother gives a brilliant advice. He tells, Muhurtam Julitam Shreyam. You have to do your dharma, and it is better to be a shine in a second rather than being a negative, passive thing for years. So there are such wonderful verses in Mahabharata which tells you that the importance of following the Swadharma and also what is the responsibility of a king. So this is Swadharma. So then,
Rajesh, one question.
yeah,
Just about the Swadharma, just to clarify. So when we say Swadharma, it is the right of doing it, the dharma. Like, so the same way the Pandavas are doing. So from the Kaurava side to for Duryodhana also, it is their Swadharma, right? So they can also argue whatever they are doing is even those people who does the jihad or something, whatever it is, like, you know.
yeah,
So
that is
can we say
not at all, right? So that's a good question, because Kauravas can say that, or those who do all these jihad type of terrorism, they can say that this is my dharma, but that is not contradicting to the definition of dharma. So when you say Kaurava, right? So Kaurava's case, Duryodhana himself tells, Janami dharmam nachame pravurti, janami adharmam nachame nivurti. I know that what they are asking is legitimate. What they are asking is legitimate. Why? What was the rule of Hastinapura? The rule of Hastinapura, which was established by the king Bharata. Remember, I was telling the story of Mahabharata because a lot of people get confused with the story of Mahabharata. So the Mahabharata story starts from King Bharata. King Bharata was the son of Shakuntala and Dushyanta. So he was known for his wisdom, and he found that none of his children were capable of doing the kingdom. So he put a rule. Who should be the rulers of Hastinapura? The one who is eligible, physically, mentally, emotionally, dharmically eligible people should be coming to the throne of the country. So what he did was, he never made any of his children as the successors. He adopted somebody from the street and made him as the king. So that was the dharma established for that country. If you haven't seen that, go and watch the first episode of B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata. This is the thing. First episode, very first episode. Raj Babar was acting as Bharata. So this conversation is also, I just happened to see that. I never knew that it was there. But the other day I just watched it and I saw that, oh, this is beautiful. This is how they introduced it. So then when it came, like Dhritarashtra and Pandus were the king. And Dhritarashtra was ineligible because the king, if there are two people, physical fitness was the one criteria. And Dhritarashtra was not eligible as a king. So naturally what happened? Pandu was given as the king. And then Pandu passed away. Dhritarashtra was only a caretaker for some time. And Duryodhana was claiming the throne just because of that. And that was not correct. Everybody said that. But just to avoid a fratricidal war, just to avoid a civil war, Pandavas were ready to compromise. That is one thing. Second thing is, Pandavas were not, for example, the behavior of Duryodhana, right? You can see that in Mahabharata. How he ruled in the country. Of course, he had some good qualities, but as a king, Yudhishthira was much more dharmic. So that is why under the elders, like the Kula Gurus and the elders of the family, chose Yudhishthira as the king. So then what happened? There were some, all these game of dice, everything was there. And Pandavas were temporarily sent to the forest. But that was only for 13 years. And after 13 years, they had a legitimate claim over the kingdom. But Duryodhana was not ready. And finally, what happened? Krishna himself went there as a negotiator. So in that negotiation, Krishna said, right, I don't need the kingdom. I just need 5 villages. If you remember that conversation, it is fantastic. And then he said, don't worry, I don't need 5 villages. Just give me 1 village for this 5 people. I won't give. And then Duryodhana, means Krishna, said, okay, if that cannot be given, just give 5 houses. He said, that cannot be given. And then final settlement was, give me 1 house for the 5 people. That also will not be given. At that time, Duryodhana tells, your warriors, why you are begging? You should come and fight. And Krishna said, no, I'm not begging. I want to avoid the war. So that's the time Krishna said, if you violate your dharma, when you violate the dharma will not protect you. And he used their famous utterances. The greatest Shiva Bhaktas of the world, Gandhari. I'm so sad to think that the greatest Shiva Bhakta of the world, Gandhari, will have to cry in front of the corpses of your children. That is the word Krishna used. If you remember the story, that is the time that Duryodhana asked his soldiers to tie Krishna up. And that is the time this whole Vishwarupa comes in. So the cause for that battle for Duryodhana, that was not dharmic. The cause for this jihadi battle, right? Where in the Quran, which said to kill the other people. I was studying Quran very recently, the last 1 month. It's such a wonderful scripture. It talks about all the greatness that every other scripture talks about. And people misinterpret it. So they are not following the dharma, because even in that book, it is said that you cannot kill another person. So when you destroy the World Trade Center, when you destroy some places, how many innocent people are being killed? So their war is not dharmic, and they are not following Swadharma. Whereas the people who defends the dharma, they are not trying to gain any adharmic cause. The cause for which that battle is happening is to defend the country. So one more thing, like when the Vietnam War happened, there was most of the Americans were against that war. You can see the history. But when the war happened with the Nazis, when the war happened with Afghanistan, everybody stayed before the country. So the dharmic war is extremely important. I don't want to go to the merits and demerits of Vietnam War, but I was just saying that. The point is that, of course, if you think that this cause is not dharmic, you have the right to get out of it. But that has to be an independent analysis. And later in the Gita, Krishna tells that yogaha karmasu kaushalam. So in that dexterity of action, one of the points Shankaracharya mentions in his commentary is the ability to choose the right action. What is dharma for you? That is the most complicated thing. And for example, in a given situation, multiple dharma contradicts. At that point of time, what exactly is my right dharma? So that's where we need to have that skill. So as I said, like the war against Taliban or Nazis, what was a righteous war? But some wars cannot be unavoidable. And the leaders or the people, there is nothing nobler than defending the country for a righteous cause. And Mahabharata tells, misplaced ahimsa is as bad as misplaced himsa. When somebody coming and bombing up your people, terrorist comes and killing your people in Kashmir. If you are not deploying the army, if you are not sending your forces to defend that innocent people, it is equally bad. Look at what happened in India. So many years, right? The Maoist goes and kills these innocent people. The jihadis goes and kills these innocent people in various parts of the country. Nagaland, even the first surgical strike happened. Means you know that from Myanmar, people used to get cross the border and kill the innocents. So finally, what we had to do, go to the other side and destroy them. There is nothing wrong in that as per the vision of the Gita, because you are not fulfilling an egocentric thing, you are fulfilling your dharma. So Duryodhana was not following the dharma. So now the question is, I don't know what exactly is the dharma for me, right? That would be the biggest confusion. So I am employed at somewhere. I don't know whether it is my dharma. Of course, you can the basic definition of the dharma is the common sense. Ask your conscience. When you ask your conscience, you think that this is right or wrong, then you can decide. And if you cannot determine, look at the scriptures. Most of these scriptures gives beautiful answers. And if you cannot do that, ask your loved ones, the common people. They will tell you. These are simple solutions. Of course, only by learning the scriptures and understanding the life and getting above your likes and dislikes, you will be able to do the proper dharma. Because typically what happens when I think about dharma, my likes and dislikes comes and hit me or influence me from interpreting the dharma properly. So the question is, can I independently evaluate what is my dharma and then do it accordingly?
Thank you, Rajesh.
But it's a beautiful question. I was thinking about the same when I was thinking about this topic. Okay, so the dharma in the Gita. So this is just an academic purpose. So dharma in the Gita is such an important topic. You can see the importance of Swadharma. How many verses you can see the repetition of this word in many verses. The 3rd chapter it is there, the 18th chapter it is there, and some of the chapters are meant to analyze the Swadharma of a person. Like you can see that in 14, 16, and 17. These are all to help us to understand what is my Swadharma. So you can see that in the 14, 16, and 17. And the Lord himself incarnated because to protect the dharma. So you can see that in the chapter 4th, in fact, it is a chapter 4. And then actually the Gita starts with the word dharma. You can see dharma kshetre kurukshetre. At that point of time, I explained the entire theme of the Gita is the first verse of the first word of the first verse and the last word of the last verse. If you take that, it is dharma, and mama, it is mama dharma. And you can see the various forms of the dharma comes throughout the Gita. So dharma is very important in the context of Gita. And again, dharma is not religion. Dharma is not merely duties. Dharma has a larger meaning. We explained that multiple times, but it's very important. So once again, recapping, from a spiritual perspective, Krishna is making a shift, and he is saying that if you look at from a dharmic perspective also, do what needs to be done, whatever is that consequence. And I was just explaining this to somebody very recently, so I know that, right, the situation demand, if I happen to be a doctor and I happen to be posted in the corona, the war or the battle means not just the physical battle, every battle, whether it is an intellectual battle, there is a sometimes it is a battle against a pandemic, all that will come there. So go there, don't retreat and run away, because the entire society was completely depending on this role. Your role is so critical in serving the society and fulfill it. And in some cases, what is going to happen, in that process, you may pass away, you may not even survive, but understand that their future is well protected by the natural law of the universe, the intelligent order of the universe. So we need to have that faith. So this is such an important topic, especially in the current situation. This topic is very important. Please don't read and pass these verses. Typically in the commentaries, you can see that a quick reference is given and people move away, but this is very important verse. Okay, so let's go to the next verse.
यदृच्छया चोपपन्नम् स्वर्गद्वारमपावृतम् सुखिनः क्षत्रियाः पार्थ लभन्ते युद्धमीदृशम्.
It's again a beautiful verse. He tells Yadrishchaya cha upapannam. This situation in life, for Arjuna, it was a physical war. For a doctor or a healthcare professional, it's a pandemic they're dealing at this point of time. Shift from Arjuna to that doctor, you will understand this much better. Because Mahabharata battle is far away removed from us in terms of place, time, and the situation, circumstances. So this particular pandemic, which a doctor is facing right now, he didn't plan for it. He didn't want it, but it just happened to manifest in front of him. Why? It could be the karmas, whatever it is. We don't know. So this war, Arjuna never wanted this war. They tried to avoid this war as much as possible. But this war was forced upon him. So this battle against Corona has forced against us, into us. So Krishna tells such situation is Surgadwaram Apavritam. So this is a gateway to a heaven. Heaven means what? We are already seen that. Heaven means it is a place of better experiences. So that's what the law of karma is very important here. Sukhina Kshatriya Partha Labhante Yuddham Idrisham. So Krishna is telling that those people who happen to get an opportunity to face such difficult situation for the cause of dharma, they are lucky people because a better experience is waiting for them. So this can be misinterpreted also, right? So the point is, if you are doing something for protecting dharma, what is going to happen? Remember, when we discussed the law of karma, we discussed there are two possible results of karma. One is called the immediate and visible results. We called it as drishtaphala, if you remember. And then the second category of result is called adrishtaphala, or invisible results. So the visible results of this dharmic battle, whether it is a battle against corona or whether it is a battle against the terrorist, there can be two drishtaphalas. The battle against corona, the drishtaphala means if I'm a doctor, I can be saving a lot of people. That is the positive side. And there is always a negative side also to that, right? I myself may get corona and I may pass away. So that is another thing. Or a battle, like if I'm a soldier in a battlefield, one drishtaphala could be what? I could save the country. I could save the people. I could save these innocent people from these terrorists. That is one drishtaphala, if I'm lucky. And sometimes what is going to happen? I may give up my life in that battle. So these are the possibilities. So depending upon my prarabdha, I may encounter something. It is outside of my hand. But if I face that situation, remember, the law of karma demanded two things. One is a prarabdha, which forces a situation in front of me. And the second thing is what? Prayatna, my self-effort. So if I had faced that situation bravely, if I'm a doctor, instead of running away and resigning the job and moving to other place, I heard a lot of doctors doing that, especially in India. I heard a few pathetic stories. So remember, a doctor in India, not like the doctors here at least. Here at least they pay. In India, like if you go to a government medical college, who is paying for their fee? Poor taxpayers. So because of that poor benefit and this higher salary, everything is paid by the poor people's work. And when the situation comes to serve them, if I run away from that, it is not good. That is violating the dharma. But Krishna is saying that if you go and face that situation bravely, and if you are committed to dharma, what is going to happen? You may get the result you are expecting here. You may not get the results you are expecting here. But one thing is guaranteed. Your adrishtam, the karmas that goes to your karmic pool, they will be definitely positive, 100%. And that will give you a better life experience, heavenly experience. In our Puranas, in our literature, they used to call a particular type of heaven. It is called Veera Swarga. You might have heard of that. A lot of people might have heard of that. Veera Swarga means a heaven, or a heaven means it is a better life experience in the future in the form of adrishta. And that is guaranteed by the commitment of dharma. So that is what Krishna tells here. So please don't think that by doing this, you will go to a permanent place called heaven and you will be there. Not at all. And fairy means, this is how you can see this Islamic literature got misinterpreted and all these jihadis are fighting for that. It's a pure misinterpretation. No scripture, whether it is Bible, Quran or Gita, is advocating that. We are saying that your commitment to dharma, what you do is very important. Dharma is very important. So when you do that dharma, your adrishtam is guaranteed. And what is the greatest dharma? Like, you cannot kill innocent people. That is really, really important. So this is very important. So be committed to dharma. In that commitment, in that effort, you may lose the life, but still be committed to dharma, because you may not get the drishtaphala, but the God's accounting will never go away. God means the universal intelligence, the universal intelligent order of the universe. It will record everything. Not like there is no computer failure, nothing. Like, it will be perfect. So let's go and see. It tells, O son of Pritha. Pritha means Kunti, or the larger meaning is the son of earth. So it is addressed to all of us. Only lucky people, Sukhinaha Kshatriya, only lucky warriors get Lapante, get this opportunity, Idrishyam, this kind of opportunity, Yutham, war, which comes Upapannam as a byproduct or by chance, Yadrishchaya, just happened to put in front of you. Look at this corona. All these doctors, they were not even thinking about this, but they just had to face that situation. It might be the collective karma of the universe. We have to do that, but go and commit to that. Very powerful. And contemplate means, when you study Gita, right, we always say there is a listening, and there is followed by a contemplation, and followed by an internalization. The contemplation is very important. And when I studied Gita first time, these verses never struck me. But when I was contemplating upon this very recently, it's equally important. These dharmic views are equally important as that of the spiritual views. So please understand dharma in its proper context. So this is the open door to heaven. Like, when you perform dharma in a situation, better life experiences is waiting for you. And when you protect dharma, the dharma will protect you. There's a famous verse in Mahabharata. Vyasa tells, Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. The one who protect dharma, the dharma will protect them. Even though the drishta phala, meaning in Tirukural, you say, right, in Tamil, dharmam talai kakum. If you protect your dharma, it will save your head. Meaning it will protect you. That's what it means. Even though the drishta phala may not be good, may not be conducive, guaranteed adrishta phala is going to come. According to Dharma Shastra, when a person sacrifices his life for the sake of dharma, a better life experience is guaranteed for him, and that is known as Veera Surga. So these are some of the side notes. Any questions on that? Okay, so we'll see one more verse. One more verse will cover the dharmic angle.
Adhachetvamimam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tataswadharmam kirtim cha hitva papamavapsyasi.
So now he tells see, Vithi and Nisheta, right? If you follow this, this is what you are going to get. If you don't follow this, what is going to happen? Both snapshots are presented. So if you refuse to engage in this situation, like, imagine if I'm a qualified doctor, I'm working in a healthcare system, in a hospital, but because of corona, what I did? I resigned, or I ran away. I heard a sub-collector in Kerala, he submitted a fake medical certificate and ran away because he didn't want to go and face the people. That's a classic example. Such scenario Krishna is pointing out. So if you don't engage in facing that situation, which is forced upon you, and you have your sadharma is to engage in that situation, and you're running away, what is going to happen? You are not doing your duty, you are not fulfilling your dharma, and your honor and will go away, and you will incur sin. Sin means papa, not the original sin, it is the papa. Sin in Vedanta, it has a different meaning because it is you're not doing what needs to be done and what the karmic effect happens because of that. So Krishna tells, if you follow this, there is a great, means you are good, your honor is going to be protected, and your next life experiences are going to be fantastic, and you are evolving. Whereas if you run away from the situation, it is not good for you. So the first sentence, he tells, cha api, meaning also. People, no, I think, no, I'm sorry. Actually, it is not the correct verse. So let's go back. It tells if you atha chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. In case if you retreat and if you don't do your dharma and retreat from dharma, what is going to happen? Tata swatharmam kirtimcha hitva papamavapsisi. You are deviating from your swatharma and your honor will go and you will incur sin. That's what it is. So commission to dharma is a requirement and omission to dharma is a mistake. So there are two types of errors. One is errors of commission and the second one is errors of omission. So Krishna tells Arjuna that it is equally mistake in omitting the dharma. So as a result, one will lose the name and fame and also incur sin. So in sin in Vedanta, as I said, it is a mistake of the mind. It acts contrary to its true nature. That's what it is. And there are two types of karma. It is called vihitam and avihitam. One is commission and the other one is omission. So for example, if I don't pay the tax, I'm not doing any mistake. You can say that I didn't do anything, but not doing that itself is a mistake. So that is what is vihitam, avihitam. A lot of people, a lot of you might be praying to God every day when you go to bed. There is a famous prayer. Anybody remember? Karacharana kritam va, kayacham karmacham va. Karacharana kritam va, kayacham karmacham va. Next line.
Vihitam ahibidam va.
Vihitam avihitam va. That's exactly what it is. Sarvame tat kshamasva, jaya jaya karunapte Shri Mahadeva Shambhu. Vihitam and avihitam. Two types of mistake. So hither, avihitam. If not doing something is also equally mistake. So being a soldier or being a healthcare professional supposed to fight the pandemic, running away is also a mistake. So I think it's 5 minutes. Let's stop here. We covered 3 verses. And as I said, like today, the topic was mainly a deviation from what we have seen. Earlier, we saw the argument of Krishna from a spiritual standpoint. And please keep in mind the 3 dimensions of a jiva. The 3 dimensions of a jiva, which is Atma, soul, and the body. And what happens to each of these dimensions at the time of the so-called death is very important. So we saw that. And understand the law of karma, which is the most confusing thing in our scriptures. People used to misinterpret like anything. So we covered that. And having said that, given that argument, Krishna come back and talk about the second point of view or second basis of argument. The second point of view is a dharmic point of view. So dharma means, so dharma is very important. Think about that. Just think Nataraja Guru's explanation, the greatest disciple of Srinarayana Guru of Kerala, known for his brilliance, is I am every day I talk, I read his book, I'm becoming a big fan of him. Nataraja Guru's interpretation of Swadharma was the best I have ever seen. And his quotation was, the dharma of a mango tree is determined by the quality of the mango it produces. And the dharma of an orange tree is determined by the quality of orange it produces. Right? So the dharma of a soldier is measured by how he defended the country, how he performed the duty. So that's very important. What we try to do, we say that this fellow, a sannyasi who is giving the lecture, this was his argument. The sannyasi who gives a third-rate lecture, public will consider him as more dharmic than a soldier who go and defending the country. That's not the case. That's why he used this example. It's brilliant. Just brilliant. This is what Gita tells. So we saw that, and we saw two types of mistakes can happen in the field. Dharma, we saw there is a samanya dharma and there is a sodharma. It is because of that sodharma of mango tree, it produces a mango. Whereas it draws the food, it gives the shelter and shelter, meaning to every human being. All that is samanya dharma. Every tree does that. Whereas it produces mango, that it's sodharma. So if you take you and me, we do have a sodharma. Look and understand what exactly is the uniqueness. What exactly is the role I need to play, right? It varies from time to time. For example, means right now, if you have a child, your duty is to educate that child. But when you retire, your duty is slightly different. So the sodharma will vary depending upon the varna and ashrama. Varna is not a caste by any means. That is why I was quoting the definition of Kshatriya from the Mahabharata itself. So means depending upon your varna and ashrama, like brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa, your swadharma will vary. Depending upon your varna, like whether you are a spiritual person or a protector or a trader or a laborer, your duties will vary. So the swadharma, it is not by any means, it is not an enforcement of caste, but this is brilliantly explained by the one who fought against the whole caste system, which is Narayana Guru and Nataraja Guru. So Nataraja Guru's explanation was such a brilliant thing. As I said, like a sannyasi giving a third-rate service, he is much, means a soldier who is fighting the battle and dying in the battle is much better than this. And the way he quoted is, the sodharma of an apple tree is determined by the quality of apple it produces, not by determining the quality of the mango it produces. So this is very important. Keep this in mind. This will help you a lot. This one topic we discussed. Any questions on this topic? Otherwise, you can text also.
Sure. Rajesh, a quick question.
Sure.
Just to expand on the previous question, I mean, I can understand Duryodhana's was a dharma, but a soldier in Kaurava's army, his swadharma is to fight.
Absolutely. His swadharma means, suppose if he had a choice to get away from that, knowing he can, but sometimes you don't have that choice or freedom. So he won't be affected. Definitely his karma will not be affected. He may have to fight and he may have to die. That is completely understand. But the leaders who made the choice, their karma will be really affected by that. Absolutely, sometimes it happens. And sometimes what happens, this determining what is dharma and adharma, it's a gray area. So you need a lot of maturity and skills and grace from the God to determine what is my dharma. So we'll see a lot of techniques given in the Gita. That's why I quoted the upcoming verses, which helps me to determine what exactly is my dharma. So this is a module we need to develop when we go further, right? What exactly is the checkbox I need to do to see? Even then it is confusing. But how to understand what is my swadharma? So you're right.
Thanks.
Any other question? Sarita ji, are you here in the call?
Yes, I am here, Rajesh.
Okay, so Sarita ji had a question, especially from the last classes. So if I understand correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, your question was, we talk about Ananda in two different perspectives. One is Satchidananda Atma, and then we talk about Ananda at the level of the Panchakosha, right? So what exactly is the correlation? Or can you elaborate that question if you don't mind? Because Everybody
Yeah.
else is hearing.
Yeah, my confusion is when we talk about definition of Brahman as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam.
Mhm.
So if I'm not mistaken, you can also correct me. I'm still learning these things. So that is existence, consciousness, infinite. That isn't that how it is explained?
Yeah, so there's a slight difference.
Huh.
So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So that is one. It's not a definition, but it's a indication. I would say like
Okay.
that, because
Okay.
everybody can define the Brahma.
Right.
So that is one thing. So
Right.
Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam is not existence, consciousness, and
Infinite.
slightly different.
Okay.
Satyam means absolute.
Okay.
Absolute means everything else is dependent upon something else for its existence, right? So that is,
Right.
so for example, if you take the pot, it depending upon the clay. So
Right.
like that, everything in the world is depending upon Brahman for its existence.
Right.
And also what happens is every other object is like from time to time it changes. Whereas
Right.
Satyam is abadidam. Trikala abadidam Satyam. That is the
Right.
definition. That
Right.
which is not subjected to change. That which is
Right.
not subjected to negation. So that is correct.
Right.
Then
Right.
Jnanam means it
Yeah.
is the consciousness or the knowledge.
Hmm.
Because every knowledge in the world is there in Brahman, right? Because the intelligent order of the universe is coming from Brahman. Because
Correct.
every possibilities. So it is all knowing and it is of the nature of consciousness. Because our definition of consciousness was that by which I'm aware of my thoughts and emotions. So
Right.
that's why it is called Jnanam. And every knowledge in the world is there, embedded there. And
Right.
then Satyam Jnanam Anantam means it is that is the infinite. Infinite means it is the definition is very beautiful. It tells nowhere. As I was quoting the contour, like you can, when you talk about infinity, the first infinity comes is the contours experiment. In math, you can see multiple levels of infinity. There are,
Right.
but in Vedanta, the definition is very precise. The Vedanta definition is three things they are saying: Desha, Kala, Vastu, Parichinna. That is the definition. Desha means that which is not conditioned by time, space. So, for example, if you take me, I'm sitting in this room in North Brunswick. That means
Right.
I'm not there in South Brunswick.
Correct.
So, whereas, for example, the scope of sunlight, you can see means you see most of the places it's there, but right the other side of the world it is not there. So everything in the universe is supposed to be spatially limited. Sometimes something might be very infinitesimally small, something might be gigantic, but everything is spatially limited. But what we are saying is that this truth or the absolute is beyond that. There is no, means it is not at all spatially constrained. In fact, the Taittiriya Upanishad tells the space comes from that. And surprisingly, if you go to modern physics, it tells the same thing. So the space comes from that absolute reality. Then the second constraint is time. Desha Kala. Kala means I'm here today. 100 years back, I was not there. And 100 years from now, none of us would be there. So most of the thing, even the universe, right? You can say 12 billion years before that, the whole universe was not here. And after 12 billion years, I don't know. It may or may not be there, but there will be an end. There will be a cessation to everything. But the Brahman or the absolute reality, which provides existence to this universe, is not subjected to change by any time. And it is beyond time. In fact, the Kala comes from this absolute reality. So this Desha, Kala comes from the absolute reality.
Okay.
Third one is Vastu. Vastu means objectivity. It's beautiful. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it is brilliantly explained. So for example, if this is a pen, means that is what indicates the objectivity. This is a watch, that indicates the objectivity. This is a shirt, that indicates the objectivity. And this is a human, that is also indicates the objectivity. Objectivity means my characteristics is defined by a set of attributes, right? I can say that the height of the pen is this much, whether this has electricity, what exactly is the color, all that determines the characteristics of that object. But the problem is what? Conclude that this is a pen, this is a watch, and this is a human. I can easily conclude that this is not a tape recorder, this is not a car, and this is not a projector. Right? So the moment
Right.
you are saying that you have some attributes, whenever you say something as A, you are immediately implying that it is not A.
B. Yeah.
So there is a huge scope of what it is not. But in the case of Brahman or the absolute reality, everything is that. It is beyond any attributes. It is beyond anything. So that is what is indicated by this.
Infinite.
So I would strongly suggest there is a brilliant lecture by Swami Sarvpriyananda. It's called God Defined. The definition is not for God, but this is a catchy title. That's all. So he gave this talk in California, I think Los Angeles or something like that. Lecture is known as God Defined. You will get details.
Okay. Yeah.
So we will continue this. This is such an important topic, but understand the profundity of Vedanta, right? This is not, no scientist can come and say that this is wrong.
Right. And how would you, if you have the time and I'm not taking, how would you describe, I mean, how would you describe or give meaning to the term Satchidananda?
Okay, Satchidananda is again another, these are all pointers.
Pointers.
Pointing, because the infinite cannot be defined. Correct. So the only thing you can do is that, for example, imagine an ant seeing an elephant. How can the ant go and see the elephant? Depending upon the point of view, it say, okay, it will say that there is a big pillar is there. And if it sees the eyes, it will interpret something. So we are all ants and we are trying to see the infinite Brahman through our limited skill set. So only thing we can do is understand some pointers. And these pointers will give a point of view of the absolute. So one thing was Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. Correct. The second thing is Sat, Chit, Ananda. It's very similar. Sat means existence. Existence means that which gives existence to every object.
Everything.
So it's the same thing. For example, if I take this pen or take this watch, everything, we saw this analysis, right? We saw that if you go down, 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 all it comes down to is atoms. 105 means 105 elements it comes. Combination of that 105 elements is this, all these materials. But if you go down a little bit, you will see that they are atoms, electrons, protons, and neutrons. And if you go further down, subatomic particles. So if you continue that inquiry, you can say that everything came from one universal source. And this is what is Einstein postulated as the universal, the unified field theory, and which is what is encountered by the string theory. The string theory in the modern physics tells, right, just like 7 notes comes from a guitar string, like that, the entire fundamental building blocks comes from one source. So that is what we are talking. So that is what the existence is here. But the thing is, this existence is not mere material, because physics talks only about the material aspect of the universe. Matter and energy. And even the matter and energy, both of them are within the realm of material world or the physical universe. That is why it is called physics.
Right.
So here you go beyond physics and you say that there is something else in the universe beyond this physicality. And that is what is consciousness. Because I know that I am conscious, you are conscious. There is some entity which reveals, which gives you life. That is what is the second aspect of this Brahman.
Okay.
And third aspect is what? If you know this, you will get the maximum contentment. That is what the Ananda we are talking. Because Ananda, or the happiness we encounter, is a state of mind. You can, and if you have any doubt, read the modern book on happiness, which is called Authentic Happiness. This book is such a wonderful book. Authentic happiness defines 3 stages of happiness. And the ultimate definition of the happiness is a state of mind. So if why that state of mind is giving me that happiness? Because
Hmm.
it prevents from all the other disturbance disturbing my natural state of being happy. Where exactly that happiness comes from, or that contentment comes from, it is coming from the reality Brahman. So that is why
Okay.
it is of the nature Sat Chit Ananda.
Ananda. Okay. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you so much.
Excellent. That's great question. Any other questions or comments?
That
But these
video
are
that you,
wonderful questions.
Rajesh, the video that you were talking about, defining God by Swami Sarva Priyananda, it was
Exactly.
shared before in our group. I just shared it again in our group again, Saritaji, so you can look at it.
Thank you, Rajesh.
You are
No
so
problem.
quick
Yeah.
and fast. Yeah, it came here. Okay, excellent. Anything else? Any other questions? But please think about this dharmic angle. I wanted to talk more about dharma in the upcoming days. Like, it's very important to understand dharma. And this dharma is the central theme of Mahabharata. The entire Mahabharata and Ramayana is composed to convey the meaning of dharma. So in the upcoming series, I will bring up a few examples from the life of Rama, from the life of Mahabharata, because 100,000 verses were composed just to explain the word dharmam chara. So you understand how critical it is. Okay. Okay, so let's close here, and please be safe and post. These questions are very welcome. So please post all these questions to WhatsApp group, or you can even personally IM me. It's fine, but whatever I can answer, I'll answer. I'll try to answer. Okay, so
Thank you, Rajesh.
continue with the other classes later this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.